Sweet Science Brothers, it's your boy Av, and I'm back with some boxing. Listen guys, this is a special tribute to one of my favorite all-time fighters in this era, the fucking legendary Marcos El Chino Maidana. Man, you know, I, as a Chino Maidana fan, first and foremost, have been in a state of, sadness because ever since the second Floyd Mayweather rematch, Marcos Maidana was in a state of, like a long-term vacation out of the sport. And any Chino Maidana fan will tell you, we've all been sitting around wondering if he's coming back, and it's been hard because when you love this guy, and honestly I love El Chino Maidana, he's one of the greatest boxers out there, so when I seeing him fight is the most special privilege for me, because this guy is like an embodiment of me in the ring, like the way he fights, what he chooses to do, his toughness, his aggressiveness, the who he is and what he embodies is what makes this man special. And so as Chino Maidana fans, we've all been sitting on the sidelines wondering what's going on with El Chino. And me and my brother, we love this guy on such a crazy level. So my brother kept saying he's coming back, but in my heart of hearts I always felt that he wasn't going to be back, because after fighting Floyd Mayweather 2 times, beating him in the first fight, he won that fucking fight. I had that 7-5 El Chino. I don't give a damn what anyone else says. Honestly, I don't give a damn. I'm not here to debate or argue about it. He whooped Floyd's ass in that first fight. Bottom line. And the rounds that Floyd won, I had it 7-5, and the rounds that Floyd won, he only won because Maidana gassed out. So Floyd was just hitting him with jabs and body shots and little pot shots while El Chino was tired. And as soon as he got his bearings back, he started putting beats on him again in the last 2 rounds. It is what it is. I don't care, Floyd fought. He did what he did in the first fight. The second fight was a disgrace to boxing. I don't even want to talk about the Floyd fights. Anyway, my point is, as Maidana fans, we've been sitting on the sidelines wondering what's going on with El Chino. And, recently there was a rumor that Miguel Cotto contacted him and offered him a big fight. And there was another rumor that he went to speak to Robert Garcia and counsel with him and see if he wants to come back. And I was so happy about that fight. But I thought to myself, knowing Miguel Cotto, he'd probably put Maidana in a bad situation, put all that A-side, B-side nonsense, put him in some big gloves, put him in an extra large ring, make him fight in New York on the Puerto Rican Day Parade or something, and just put him in an unwinnable situation. But then I thought to myself, and I was like, I think El Chino would beat the shit out of a Miguel Cotto. I just think the man that he is, I think even if he lost, he put a serious beating on Cotto. It is what it is. Maybe Cotto would win. I don't know. That's a really good fight. I got El Chino though. But I always got El Chino, so it is what it is. Like I said in the beginning, huge fan of the guy. I'll back him up any day against anyone. It is what it is. So, and then I wake up today and I check Boxing Scene, and it turns out that El Chino Maidana announced his retirement. And it's bittersweet, man, because I saw all the weight gain that he put on during this time off, and my brother and I had a debate about it, and he said, oh no, that time off is good for Chino. He'll come back rejuvenated. He'll come back refreshed. he'll come back and he'll be like this and he'll be like that. And I totally disagreed with my brother. I said, no, man, El Chino Maidana is like a machine. You know, the more active he is, the better he becomes, the sharper he becomes, the more skilled he becomes. You know, this guy is a very special fighter. You know, it was like, even the second fight with Floyd, which was a disgrace because of all the clinching and all the nonsense and Kenny Bayless and all the bullshit surrounding that fight, you know, he still came to that fight with a totally different game plan and showed Floyd different levels. Like, he changed. Floyd came in the ring, he put on, I don't know how heavy Floyd was, but he looked like a $170 in there. He looked so huge. He looked so diesel. That was the biggest I've ever seen Floyd. I don't know how big he was, like I said, because he didn't step on the scale that night. But he looked massive, because I remember in the first fight, El Chino Maidana rehydrated from 147. He rehydrated to 167, and he was bigger than Floyd in the first fight, but not by that much. He was bigger, but not by that much. But I remember in the rematch, Floyd bulked up. He just got huge. His arms were bigger. His chest was bigger. I don't know how much he weighed, but he made Maidana look small in that rematch. So anyway, I had this conversation with my brother, and I said, listen, that type of a delay, that type of a break, that type of a recess, whatever you want to call it, you know, semi-retirement, that is not good for a fighter like Marcos Maidana. And, you know, I told my brother, I said, I don't want to see him just jump in the ring with an elite fighter right away. He needs to have one or two soft touches and then get in there, because that's too long of a layoff, and he just blew up. He had so much weight on him. I heard he was like 210, 220. He got so big. It is what it is. So it's bittersweet that he retired, because I didn't want to see my hero, El Chino, go out on a bad note, come back to the sport when he wasn't 100%, you know? I didn't want to see that. So I'm happy that he decided, he thought about it deeply, he counseled all his loved ones, his trainers and people and everybody, and he came to the conclusion that he wanted to retire. It's bittersweet, like I said before. I'm sad because, you know, every fight with El Chino Maidana is like a gem. It's like a precious gem. I could watch every one of his fights from the moment he hit our shores until now, and I will be thoroughly entertained. I mean, the guy is, I mean, he's just amazing. And what's most amazing about Marcos Maidana is that he wasn't supposed to be here, man. That's the most amazing thing about him. He was not supposed to be here. This man had a legendary run. He had a legendary run. Like, he was brought to America, okay, to be an opponent for Victor Ortiz, who at the time was being hyped up to be the next best thing since sliced bread. He was going to be the next Oscar de la Hoya. Golden Boy was behind this guy. He was Mexican-American. He could speak fluent English. I mean, he's American, basically. He could speak perfect English. He had the look, you know. He had everything to be successful and marketable in the sport of boxing. Power in both hands. They were feeding him bum after bum, padding his record. And, you know, he was the next best thing since sliced bread. And Victor Ortiz reached that point that every prospect reaches, where it's time to be tested. Let's find, you know, a guy who's undefeated, or who has a good record and a good punch, and let's test you now. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So when a prospect reaches that type of alpha stage, it's basically like they put you in with a tough fight that you're supposed to easily win, but the guy's supposed to test you a little bit, hit you a little bit, and force you to show a couple of different looks. But you're supposed to overcome that guy, okay? So a perfect example of that type of challenge is maybe somebody like Soto Carras, or even Andre Berto, somebody with some sort of name or some type of record, who could take a punch and who could give one, somebody who can test you. and Victor Ortiz reached that alpha stage, and they found some guy from Argentina no one ever heard of. But I remember now being at home watching that fight live on HBO, and I remember it's just like sitting with my brother and my dad, which is what we do with every fight that comes up. And the first thing I said was, oh man, look at this guy's record. I think his record was like 22 wins, 21 knockouts with 1 loss. And they said something about like that loss was a questionable robbery, or it was on some nonsense, or a no contest. I'm not sure, but the announcer said something about like this guy's like a knockout artist who no one's ever heard of. He didn't beat anybody with a big name. But I told my brother, I said, yo, look at this guy's record. This is OD. And my brother was like, oh, we'll see what happens. Next thing I know, the fight starts. What a fight. Oh, my God. He took Victor Ortiz. They went life or death. And Maidana took him out. Finished him off. Broke his spirit and made him quit. And that was my first experience, my first taste of that Maidana crack. That crack that Maidana was offering. I got addicted to that crack, man. It's like every time this guy fought, it was amazing. Next fight I remember with Marcos Maidana, he fought this Dominican fighter named Caillou. Something Caillou, I can't remember his name. He undefeated guy from the Dominican Republic who I had seen fight on 2 or 3 other occasions. He beat the crap out of. He was kind of like, he had like a shoulder roll type of slick style, but he had knockout power and would get aggressive. He was an interesting fighter, and he was undefeated. And they put Marcos Maidana in front of that guy. And I just felt like the establishment in boxing, they wanted Maidana gone. Like, he wasn't supposed to be there. They were pissed off that he beat Victor Ortiz, and they put him in tough right away. And Maidana starts fighting this guy. Legendary battle. Maidana knocks him out with a body shot. Amazing uppercut to the solar plexus. Special, man. I'm telling you. That sweet crack that only Marcos Maidana can deliver, man. And you know, it was just like fight after fight after fight. This guy was just delivering, man. He was delivering. And so he ended up losing to, what was his name again? This guy lost to Sean Porter as well. I forgot his name escapes me right now. But an African-American fighter. What's this guy's name? How could I forget his name? Anyway, Maidana loses to him. The guy starts clinching and holding and clinching and pot shot clinch. And Maidana didn't like, I don't know, man. He was off that night. He just wasn't himself. And, you know, he was getting smothered and clinched and headbutted, and he just didn't know what to do. And he lost that fight. You know, it is what it is. I felt bad for him. I got upset. I think it was his first official loss, but either way. Devon Alexander, that's who it was. How could I have forgotten his name? I don't know. Yeah, Devon Alexander. He cheesed Maidana down in a stink fest. And it was what it was. I was very disappointed. But, so then Maidana takes a break. I didn't see or hear from him for a long time. And now, this is the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about. So Maidana comes back, right? And he was always a great fighter. He was a fighter with many, many tools. He could he could hurt you to the head and to the body. He had great hooks. All of his punches were good. His jab, his straight right hand, everything. The only thing about Maidana, his fundamentals weren't 100% there. He didn't have discipline. But the only thing he really needed that he lacked, he just needed a consistent measuring tool. That's what Maidana was missing. A measuring tool to deal with foes like Devon Alexander, and to deal with opponents that can try to nullify his work. He needed a measuring stick, because that's what a jab is. It's a stiff measuring stick where you can score points while you're thinking about your next move, or you can use it as not just as a range finder, but you can use it to back your opponents up, and you can also use it defensively to interrupt people's attacks. So that's what Maidana was missing in his game. He was missing that technical, range finding, interrupting mechanism, which the jab is. He was lacking that. And when he linked up with Robert Garcia started putting in solid fundamentals. And the main thing was that Maidana had a marvelous jab. He just wasn't using it. He didn't know how to apply it. He would just randomly throw the jab from time to time, and it would be a nice jab, but it was like a pointless jab. He would just toss it when he wanted to. He didn't understand how to apply it in a consistent way. So when he linked up with, Robert Garcia, that was when he just developed this amazing jab that he was using to keep his opponents at bay, to put them in the positions that he wanted to place them in. He was using this jab to trap people in the corner. He was using the jab to interrupt them when they were trying to counter him back. He was using the jab in so many ways. His jab is amazing, and it is a jab that has many levels. He has a very dynamic jab, and that was one thing that he got from Robert Garcia. Like, he learned how to use it, how to apply it, and he was sparring with Mikey Garcia, and it showed. You could see that he just became like a technician. Before he linked up with Robert Garcia, he was more of a, kill or be killed warrior who would come in there with power in both hands, and, go into the body, go into the head. Very good pressure fighter, who just goes through life or death struggles in there and tries to take his opponents out. But after linking up with Garcia, he became this technical, he just became this technician who had a solid jab and applied pressure, but he applied it more. It was more consistent. Like, he understood now how to, before he would take breaks, but because he didn't have that consistent jab, his opponents would figure out that he's resting, and then they would start catching hits on him and forcing him to work from his tired position. You know what I mean? And with this newfound jab, he became such an incredible technician, capable of interrupting his opponent's offense, interrupting his opponent's timing, and putting pressure on people, and basically getting them, in areas of the ring where he wanted them to be. And then he started using the jab to set everything up. So he had all the tools in the world. What he needed to do is learn how to apply them effectively and consistently. And after linking up with Robert Garcia, he was able to do so, because he had all the talent in the world, and the hunger, and that cutthroat, Lionheart type, badass inside of him that drives you to win. He was mentally strong, Maidana. That's why he beat the shit out of Floyd Mayweather in that first fight. Don't get me wrong, it was 7-5, but like I said before, those rounds that Floyd won, they were just because Maidana got tired throwing 1,000 punches at him. You know what I mean? Anyway, he had that epic fight with Amir Khan, and Amir Khan at 140, let me tell you guys, he was a different animal than he is at 147. He was a much better fighter, much more dangerous. And it is what it is. He almost knocked Amir Khan's ass out too. It just took him some time, because Amir Khan has a difficult style. It is what it is. But I just wanted to say that Marcos Maidana, this is a tribute to him. God bless him. God bless his family. I wish nothing but the best for this guy. I will treasure all the memories that he's shared with us. And I wanted to say one final thing about Maidana that's really interesting, that every up-and-coming fighter should study Maidana's style, and not just his amazing fighting style, because let me tell you something. We didn't even go, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, that's all we did. There's a whole huge block of ice under that water that we're not even talking about. How Marcos Maidana, the type of counter punching, defensive like shoulder rolls that he does, and just he's an intelligent fighter. You know, his feints. He's an amazing fighter. We didn't even go. It's like the tip of the iceberg. But I just wanted to, you know, the video's gotten very long, and I want to end with this. Every like fighter that's coming up in the ranks that decides to come to America or wherever, if you want to know a perfect example of how to get to the top of the sport and how to challenge the man in the division, whatever division you're in, you study Maidana's epic run when he came back from that break, when he linked up with Robert Garcia. He got in there and he went in there, he fought Soto Carras, knocked his ass out. Then he fought what's his name? Forgot this dude's name. He fought that other Mexican-American fighter, Josecito Lopez. He fought Soto Carras, knocked him out, fought Josecito Lopez, knocked his ass out, fought Adrian Broner, beat him half to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a run right there. That's an epic run. Like, he was fighting every 4 months. He was getting in big fights, and he was taking the tough fights. Like, he forced the issue. That's how he got in the ring with Broner. That's how he got in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. He got in the ring with these guys because he forced the issue. He took the tough fights. He stayed busy. If you want to know how to get to the very top of the sport, you study Marcos Maidana's run at 147. That's how it's done. Any other fighter who wants to do it big in this sport, take a look at his run and understand that that's how a fucking lion takes over the sport. One step at a time. Boom, boom, boom. Knocking people out. Exciting fights. You know, that's what it's all about. So this is my tribute to Marcos Maidana, one of my favorite fighters of this era. God bless his heart. Once again, it's bittersweet to see him go, but I'm glad, you know, that he's doing what's best for him, because I read, you know, his retirement statement, and he said he doesn't have the type of drive and dedication that it takes to climb the mountain, and he knows, because he's climbed that mountain twice. So, you know, he didn't want to taint his legacy with some half-assed performances. You know, he wasn't going to be at his best. Therefore, he decided to hang his gloves up. God bless Maidana. This is your boy Av, Sweet Science Brothers, coming to you live from Brooklyn. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share the videos. Share the love.